What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Unbiased Hard Take. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into, massive basketball show for you guys today. We're going to talk about tonight's Game 7, Cavs and Pistons game. Winner goes to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to talk a little bit about the Western Conference Finals coming up, which will be Spurs and Thunder. And SGA has been named the MVP back-to-back seasons. So we're going to react to that as well. We got lots to get into. You're going to love this one. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in again to this week's Unbiased Hard Take. Sorry we didn't get into it on Saturday night, but I always say weekend shows. Sunday's still the weekend. So, I was a little tired. I got some research done last night. You know, I came prepared. Your boy's here prepared. Had my research ready, and I was just tired. You know, we get tired sometimes, and life is busy. So, we are here, though, on this week's episode of the Unbiased Hard Take. Before we get into it, though, like I said, the formalities. Like us on Facebook. Link to that will be in the description down below. We have Sports Fact of the Day every day on there. I'm dropping at least one other take on there. JB's dropping dimes. He just actually talked about the Aaron Rodgers as a Steeler. We might actually just break that down a little bit here in a minute as well. I mean, I pretty much knew that was going to happen. We might react to that as well. But massive basketball show for you guys today. Subscribe on YouTube. We do takes on YouTube, at least one other short take throughout the week when we're not doing these shows. And we are going to be getting into our fantasy football, third annual fantasy football, the Unbiased Hard Take draft. We do have some extra changes this year. We'll get into that. We'll announce that when the time has come. A little too early for fantasy, but keep an eye out for that. Fantasy football 30 will be. Let me know if you're interested in the comments down below. We had first year, I think it was 6. Last year was 8. I want to at least hit 8. Want to see an improvement, really. I want to hit the double digits, at least have 10 in that league is sort of the goal. 8 to 10. Would prefer 10, but I think 8 would still be a success. But again, we appreciate support from you guys. Anyways, now we're going to jump right on into it. Get into the news here. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers a little bit. I talked about big basketball show. Aaron Rodgers wasn't necessarily part of this episode, but we are going to react a little bit to that. I mean, it's good to see him now. He'll be ready before training camp, before mandatory OTAs. He can get in the building. There's not going to be any drama, any speculation, media coverage on it now. People know that he's the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is there. They still have Mason Rudolph and a couple other. I think they have 4 quarterbacks on the roster now, so they'll probably lose one of those. I would say. I think they'll probably keep Mason Rudolph in the event Rodgers is hurt. Mason Rudolph is a very good backup. And I think it's Drew Allier who they have on the roster as well. And he'll end up fighting for Will Howard for that other roster spot. I think they'll end up getting rid of one of the two. But I do think it is good for him to get in there. They have Michael Pittman Jr. now. Now they can kind of get some reps. DK Metcalf still there. So they have some weapons on offense, the Steelers do. But the big question for them is the offensive line health. TJ Watt should be back healthy this year. He had some unfortunate health issues last year himself. So then they have a full season of TJ Watt being back healthy, full offseason to get him right. Mike Tomlin's out. Mike McCarthy is in. And it's going to be sort of one last ride for them. And as a Packers fan, Packers owner, as we know on this show, very big Packers supporter, it's kind of nice, sort of storybook telling ending for them to end together. I do think this will be Rodgers' last season more than likely. And for him to end it with Mike McCarthy where it began, the universe just always has a way of balancing out, doesn't it? And it's sort of a beautiful story. And hopefully it ends up translating to on the field. I think the Steelers overachieved a bit last year, won their division. You know, the Ravens are going to be ready for a revenge tour because they had a very disappointing season last year. You know, Lamar is going to want to be proving that he is a winning quarterback. We know he's a talented quarterback, leading MVP, but he needs to prove he's a winning quarterback. He's going to want to do that. The Browns have a lot of talent on the roster, but they're no threat. And then, of course, Joe Burrow, a big if he can stay healthy or not. And if he is healthy, they're going to be in contention too. So the Steelers, hopefully it translates to on the field. They got Rodgers some more weapons, and they have a stable backup. So I think the Steelers will have a good season, and it is good for the Steelers to get him back in the building. It'll help the locker room, definitely, and that matters more than people think it does. But again, football season, there's not really a lot of football stories right now. It's just basketball time. This is NBA time, and we are here to talk about the NBA playoffs, where tonight the Cleveland Cavaliers will be losing to the Detroit Pistons by a lot, I think. I think this is going to be an ass-kicking. The Cavs, it's good to see them here. I mean, I'm glad we have a Game 7 in round 2 because some of the round 2 series were rough. I mean, you had the Lakers get swept by Oklahoma City. And then, of course, you had the Sixers get swept as well. So a lot of these Eastern Conference Finals, I hope it's better. The Western Conference Finals is better because this second round was sort of weak. This series sort of saved us. And I suppose the Spurs-Timberwolves series was a pretty decent series as well. That was sort of back and forth for a bit. So 2 of the 4 series were good. But this series has been absolutely phenomenal. Cavs and Pistons. Or I just don't trust the Cavs in big moments. I just don't. You're telling me James Harden, who I have his career Game 7s right here. In Game 7s in his career, James Harden has averaged 19.1 points per game, under 20 points a game for a level MVP level, Hall of Fame level player. Rough. 35% from the field, and he averages 3.8 turnovers in Game 7s. And he has a plus-minus of minus 3.3. So he's worse on the court in Game 7s. He hurts the team by 3.3 points. Doesn't even average 20 a game, and he's a superstar Hall of Fame level MVP player who can drop 30 in a season. He's done it before, averaging. And almost 4 turnovers a game. So you round up, 3.8 goes to 4, boom. 4 turnovers a game. That's rough. James Harden is one of the biggest choke artists in the playoffs in NBA history. He's one of the biggest choke artists in playoff history. You want to go regular season, James Harden's one of the best shooting guards of all time. But when does it matter most? That's why he's never in the conversation with Dwayne Wade. In the regular season, yeah, James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade. Who cares, though? In the playoffs, we all know that Dwayne Wade is 20 gazillion times better than James Harden could even sniff being in the playoffs. This man doesn't even average 20 points per game in Game 7s. He shoots 35% from the floor and has 4 turnovers. And it's going to be something like this tonight. The lights will be too bright for James Harden, and he'll choke. I don't even think he'll get 20 tonight. I'd be shocked if he gets 15. And if he does, he'll definitely have over 5 turnovers, and they'll lose the game. Because that's what James Harden does. Regular season greatness. One of the biggest choke artists, and is the biggest choke artist. I'll say that. He's the biggest choke artist in NBA history, maybe even in sports history. No one chokes like James Harden. He should coin that. And Donovan Mitchell, I mean, he'll put up good stats, but he's never even been out of round 2 in his career. He's never been to a conference finals in his career. So what makes me think he's going to be able to do this any different? I don't think he's going to. And because Jalen Duren was very good in Game 6, because he sort of struggled in the playoffs and in this series up until that. And Jalen Duren really, I think, set out to prove people that he is that all-star, all-NBA type of player that he was named this year. He's an all-star this year. He's going to be demanding max money here soon. And I called it before it happened. You can go back on this podcast. Even when the Pistons were horrible, I said Jalen Duren's a future star. I called that one. So I got a lot of hate for that too. So print your apology forms on that one, baby, and send them on in, because I was 100% right, as I'm not always right. I'm not a prophet. I'm not God, you know. But I look at things. All you gotta do is pay attention and just watch the game and watch the film. That's a lot of it. A lot of you guys are casuals. That's the issue. And I called Jalen Duren was going to be this great, and I think he's going to have a great Game 7 tonight. This is a young Pistons team, so I think this will be good. We'll have a good game in the first half, but the Pistons will take over. The Cavs had their chance at a closeout game at home on their court, and typical in James Harden and Donovan Mitchell fashion, they couldn't get it done, because we know James Harden's a choke artist, and Donovan Mitchell is allergic to a conference finals. That's ultimately what it is. I actually hope the Pistons win tonight, because I think they have a way better chance of beating the Knicks than the Cavaliers do. I do think the Knicks will be going to the finals either way, no matter who wins this series, but I do think the Pistons stand a better chance than the than the Cavaliers do against the Knicks. So Jalen Duren, I mean, in game 6 was outstanding. Double-double, 15 points, 11 rebounds, and was 7 from 10 from the field. So he was extremely efficient, You're not drawing plays up for Jalen Duren on the chalkboard on timeouts to like game-winning shots, big clutch moments. You're not doing that. He gets his by effort plays, and he was a menace in Game 6. He was exactly what the Pistons needed him to be, and that's what he'll do again tonight in Game 7. You heard it here first again. Pistons win this game, and I think they'll win it by double digits. I'd say by about 15. It'll be a good game to start with, but ultimately the Pistons and James Harden will choke down the stretch, and the Pistons are a more talented team. Cade Cunningham is the best player in this series, and the Pistons have a better roster even when it gets down to like your Durans, your Tobias Harris. There's another one. So, I mean, the Pistons just have a better roster in general, I think, than the Cavaliers do, who are way too top-heavy with Harden and Donovan Mitchell, and Harden just not that guy in the playoffs, and never really was. And Donovan Mitchell isn't that guy either, let's be honest. When it comes to actually winning championships, neither one of these guys are really winning players. And it's going to show tonight. So I say Pistons by 10, 15 points. Double-digit win. And then the Knicks will go to the finals regardless. But I do want to move on. We'll go to the Western Conference Finals, where this is the all-mega series. This is the big series when it comes to the finals, the conference finals. The East, I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch. But the Western Conference Finals, these two teams, Spurs and Thunder, were the best two teams all year long in the NBA and the Western Conference. Both these teams have an MVP level player. Wemby was in the candidate for MVP. Shea did win it. We'll get into that here in a minute. But Wemby is the first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in the history of the game. So you have an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object type of deal. You can hear these motorcycles. I don't know if you can hear the motorcycles out here from the studio. That's crazy. Makes me just want to crash out. Just want to mind my own business and scream about sports. But anyway. So the Spurs and Thunder series, this is going to be the great series because, like I said, SGA deserved the MVP. That's sort of a spoiler. 100% deserved. He's the best player in the league. It's 100% fact. I mean, the man averages 31.1 points a game. I mean, and the Thunder have had plenty of rest. They haven't even lost a playoff game yet. And the Spurs, I mean, they even dropped one against the Blazers. Gentleman sweep, but they dropped one against the Blazers. Wemby has been shown in the playoffs that maybe he's not invincible, as people think, because they've lost a couple games. He actually got ejected for losing control of his temper. And the Thunder play relentless defense. Now, I do think that the Spurs guards, in particular, with Castle and Fox, can sort of give the Thunder fits when it comes to how aggressive they are in defense. And Wemby is just a very talented player, so he's going to make it harder on the Thunder defense. So I don't think it'll be as dominating. But I do think the Thunder will lose a couple games in this series. They won't sweep it 4-0 like they have the rest of the playoffs. It's not going to be like that. But I do think the Thunder win this in 6. I'm going with that in 6. I do think the Spurs are very talented, and Wemby's only given fits. So is Fox and Castle. The combination of those three, I think, will win a couple games in this series. Don't be surprised if they even win Game 1. That's the most likely scenario. They'll win Game 1, steal home court, and then the Thunder will drop 2 in a row, I think. Get Game 2, get home court back in Game 3 in San Antonio. Then Game 4, Spurs will defend home court. And then I think at that point, at tie 2-2, the championship pedigree of this Thunder's team, who's won NBA Cups. I know it doesn't really matter as much, but they've actually backed it up with winning NBA Finals. Been in the playoffs multiple years. League MVP 2 years in a row. Best player on the court. I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to it, I do think that championship competitiveness and that experience will be able to get it done. Now, I think the Spurs are one of the only teams that can go deep in their bench as well, similar to what OKC can do. But I do think the reason I'm going to pick the Thunder to win in 6 and not 7 is because Jalen Williams is returning to this series, which is absolutely great for him, for the Thunder's chances, because they've been dominating the playoffs without him. So I'm very excited to see what he brings to the court. Thunder have had plenty of rest, so you know they have had plenty of chance to get healthy. And they're sort of coasting right now, and that does matter. Rest is a good thing in sports, especially when you play an 82-game season. You had preseason and training camp before that, and now you're in deep in the playoffs. So it's a long season for these guys. That rest does matter. And I do think it's in 6, Thunder win in 6, because their experience, this is the first time for the Spurs, and you've seen it. Minnesota gave them fits. Even Portland stole a game. So I do think that you've sort of seen that already. The writing's on the wall. The Spurs will be a very tough out. I wouldn't be surprised if they won. It wouldn't be like the biggest upset in sports history or anything. That would be sort of predictable to a point, but I do think the Thunder are just a better team. And their experience, SGA, he's that dude. He is 100% that dude. And the Thunder in 6. Speaking of SGA, we are going to talk a little bit about him winning the MVP award. And, I mean, people are upset because they say he's a free throw merchant. Oh, he's a free throw merchant. They foul him. They foul him. And he hasn't been getting all those calls in the playoffs. Now, I do think OKC does flop a lot. You see Chet do it quite a bit. And I do think that the NBA needs to just enforce the flopping rules in general. People have been talking about flopping for decades. It's not a new issue. Like LeBron created the LaFlop memes back in 10 years ago. So, I mean, flopping's been around for a long time, and the NBA has never done anything about it. Flopping was an issue in the NBA before SGA. The Thunder are the new villains of the NBA. It's like the Warriors were before. And the Lakers were before. And the Celtics were before. And the Heat were before. Because they're winning a lot and they're winning championships doing it. They're winning a lot, and people get tired of the same old teams winning all the time. So they're the villains, and that's a good thing. It doesn't discredit what SGA has been able to do. He's absolutely the league MVP. Because when you look at it, people say it's a stat award. It absolutely is. And his stats are absolutely outstanding. Because like I said, SGA is averaging 31.1 points per game, shooting 55% from the field, 4.3 rebounds a game, 6.6 assists per game, 1.4 steals per game. And people go, oh, what about Luka? He averages more points. The Thunder had a much better record than the Lakers did. That's number one. And winning does matter. People say, oh, it's a stat. The stats most valuable player. Valuable players win. Winning does matter. He's also the defending champion. That matters. When you're putting up more points per game, more assists per game, and a better field goal percentage than Wemby, and he was an MVP candidate. When Luka didn't even meet the basic criteria of 65 games, so don't give me the Luka argument. I know people will go say, oh, they rescinded that. Cool, he got a participation trophy, so now he can be named All-NBA. Cute. But everyone knows Luka averaged more points per game, they say. He also lost more games. His team wasn't as good. His team's eliminated because he couldn't even play in it. And the only reason he's eligible for the conversation at all is because the NBA gave him a hand-me-out. Spare change? Spare change, please? Come on. It's pathetic. And he doesn't even play defense. SGA plays defense. He wins championships. He plays 65 games. That's all I'm saying. And then you could argue Jokic as well, but again, Thunder had a better record than they did. I mean, I know, I get Jokic averages triple-double, but I mean, ultimately, winning is what matters. Ultimately, what it comes down to it. And I think you could argue Jokic. I wouldn't be upset had he won the award. I mean, I'd been upset had Wemby or Luka won, because they are absolutely not on the same level as what SGA and Jokic are. Jokic's averages a triple-double, and he makes the playoffs every year, and he's won a championship too. So let's not forget that. So I wouldn't have been upset. I do think it's neck and neck, but I do think SGA deserves it because him and Jokic's stats are both top-tier elite. But when you have two players that are top-tier elite stats, how do you break that sort of tiebreaker? What team had more success? Who won more? That's what matters. That's what matters in sports. You play to win the game, as they say. So SGA, congratulations on your second MVP. I do hope the Thunder go back-to-back. I do hope so, because I just don't... Like I said, I think the Knicks are going to the finals. Now, if it's the Pistons or Cavs that somehow miraculously make it to the finals, which I think that's a very low percentage chance, I'll root for them. But I'm not rooting for the Knicks. So I hope the Thunder can absolutely just destroy the Knicks in the finals, because I think they're going to win this in 6. And SGA is 100% deserving of the MVP award. Congrats to him. You are the league's best player, and you are the future. You're the face of the league. You're the face of the league now. The old generation's weeding out. Kevin Durant, Steph, LeBron, they're getting old. It's fading away. The new face of the league, SGA is. And you have good stars under him, like Jokic and Wemby, who's a future star, and Luka even. But they're not on that level of SGA. And that's a fact. But that's all I got for this week's episode of The Unbiased Hard Take. Again, appreciate the support from you guys. We get thousands of views on our shorts. We want to see those turn into subscribers. So subscribe us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Again, the link is in the description down below. Fantasy football news will be coming up for our 3rd annual on that. Excited to get that going. So until next time, Let's go Heat. Boiler up. And go Pack, go baby. We'll see y'all this coming week on a short.